trapped in a 100 billion welfare nightmare crushing young Brits, while a sinister Bank of England racket quietly steals another 40 billion a year. Farage calls it exactly what it is: a total fraud. No spin, no excuses. Who's really responsible for this broken Britain? Why has the political elite let it happen? And what game-changing contract drops Monday that could smash the trap, slash taxes, and ignite the boldest revolution in decades? This isn't another interview. It's the raw, unfiltered moment UK politics changed forever. Watch every second, because what Farage just exposed will shock you, and what comes next could change everything you think about Britain.
That is an enormous cost. It's about 50 billion, but it's also very imaginative. As we all know...
What is that? Sorry, imaginative. What do you mean by that?
But it's not the kind of thinking you get from the others, because, because they stick with orthodoxy. One of the big problems we've got is we have more and more people, young people too, living off welfare. And it's costing us over £100 billion a year. What we want to do, and there's a trap here, you see. You're on benefits, you go back to work, you work more than 16 hours a week, the tax kicks in, you may as well stay on benefits. There is a terrible trap.
So hence the rationale to raise the tax threshold.
A growing number of young people are saying they've got all sorts of psychological problems, but they're also not incentivised to go to work. We want to get people back to work.
I understand that. So the 50 billion, where will that money come from?
A lot of it will come from the racket that is going on. The government has been creating money, particularly during the pandemic. That money goes into the system, it goes into banks, the banks lodge it with the Bank of England, the Bank of England pay them interest on it. It's a racket. It's a racket. Well, and an increasing number of economists and academics say that alone could save between 35 and 40 billion pounds a year. So, I wasn't in charge. If I'd been given responsibility for making Brexit happen, it would have been very different.
But that's an easy get-out. That's a bit like where you are now in Reform, where you're saying, I'm not in charge.
In 2019, right, in the general election, I stood aside, with 300 seats, to give Boris Johnson a free run, to get Brexit over the line and to deliver the promises that he made. The reason on migration that Brexit has failed in the eyes of many people is because the Conservative Party haven't delivered. But be in no doubt, we are in charge of these things. Brexit gives us self-government. That doesn't guarantee success, but it does mean we're in charge.
And that we've spoken to the IFS, or taken a look at the IFS, looking at your proposals for changing the Bank of England's function, and that is a very difficult and long process. That is very technical. That would not happen immediately.
Well, no other central bank in the world does this. This is a complete racket with the banks. And interestingly, Paul Tucker, a former deputy governor of the Bank of England, fully endorses our plan, as do a growing number of economists. But look, I'm going to launch. And by the way, I won't call it a manifesto, because the word association with manifesto.
Presenters tried to trap him, but he slammed them with the shocking 100 billion welfare racket. Why is Britain's youth completely stuck in this deadly benefits trap? Then his friend shares his take. Farage says if you work more than 16 hours, taxes hit so hard, you might as well stay on benefits. Just why have politicians protected this soul-crushing trap for over 20 years? The story gets wilder. Farage exposes the Bank of England's 35 to 40 billion secret racket and promises to end it. Even former Deputy Governor Paul Tucker supports him. Why is this massive scam only running in Britain while no other country does it? Now comes the real experience. He's launching a bold contract on Monday, not a manifesto, because that word means lies. Why does the establishment always call his radical ideas impossible? Both guys realize Reform UK's